The call came at 2:14 a.m. Your father was involved in an incident at the Belmont Industrial Facility. There was a fire. I asked, is he alive? Pause, then, we're still identifying remains. I drove 6 hours back to my hometown. Didn't pack, didn't blink. Belmont wasn't just a factory, it was a skeleton. A shut-down textile plant turned metal recycler, a relic of our broken town. They reopened it 5 years ago for twins. Only took night shifts, paid in Bayan. My dad had took that job 2 months before the fire. Said, it ain't good work, but it's work. When I got to the edge of the lot, all I saw was smoke. Thick, cold, bitter. The fire was out. The building was cordoned off. A county truck rolled past me, spray painted across its side, condemned. They said it started from an electrical panel, said the roof collapsed, said 3 workers were inside, 1 body identified, 2 unrecoverable. My dad was one of them. They gave me a box of his things, wallet, watch, a half-used punch card. That was it. No funeral, no autopsy, just a declaration. Presumed dead. But I couldn't let go. Not like that. My name is Marcus. I was in my last year of architecture school when it happened. And I remember sitting in a studio at 3 a.m., drawing steel trusses, when my phone buzzed. Now I was standing in front of one, charred, half fallen, and I noticed something that didn't fit. The fire burned downward. That's not how metal burns. I asked for the floor plans. They said none existed, said the factory was too old. But I remembered something. My dad once told me, we unload in the lower bay, below grade. They call it the pit. But on every diagram I pulled, there was no pit, no basement, no substructure, just a flat slab. So I looked deeper. City permits, archived zoning maps, an original blueprint from 1953, and there it was. Level 1, storage, laundry, loading dock. Long since bricked up. Supposedly, I bribed a demolition crew foreman for access. Slipped in at 2 a.m. with a flashlight and steel-toe boots. The main floor was scorched. Twisted beams, melted rails, cracked walls. But near the far end, a hatch, half covered in debris. Heavy, burnt, but movable. I pulled it open. A metal ladder led down. The air reeked. I descended 14 feet, hit concrete, shined the light, and froze. Cots, folded blankets, rows of lockers, a sink, a table, plates still set, and on the wall, a handwritten calendar. Every day marked, except one, July 9th, the night of the fire. I walked deeper. The walls were steel-plated. There were ID tags, dozens, names I didn't recognize, some with photos, some in Spanish, Vietnamese. And in the far corner, a sealed steel door. I kicked it open. Inside, tools, gloves, welding equipment, a logbook. Last entry, shipment prepped, 12 ready, night cycle begins 11:15 p.m. Dated the night of the fire. This wasn't storage, it was a hidden labor unit, an unregistered underground worksite, and someone had tried to erase it with fire. I staggered out, didn't speak for 2 hours. Then I opened my laptop, typed one sentence. My father didn't die in an accident. He was buried with evidence. I sent the logbook scans to 5 reporters. 3 ignored me. 1 told me to stop pushing conspiracy. But 1, a freelancer named Alina Rowe, called me back. She said, if this is real, this isn't just an OSHA violation. This is criminal. I said, it's real. She said, then we need to talk in person. We met in a public library. I laid it all out. The blueprints, the punch card, the hidden hatch, the photos. She asked one question. Who were the other workers? I didn't know, so I found out. The logbook had initials, JL, MS, HR, TN. I cross-referenced with a missing persons list from the county jail and local shelters. 2 matched, both undocumented, both disappeared within the last 2 years. No investigation, no family contact, no paperwork, just vanished. Then I remembered my dad said once, some of them sleep here, nowhere else to go. He didn't say names, didn't explain, but he looked tired when he said it. Now I understood. They weren't workers. They were prisoners, but not by law, by exploitation, hidden in a basement, paid in scraps, used, then erased. I found one family, the sister of Hector Ramirez. She lived 3 towns over. When I showed her the ID badge from the basement, she collapsed. She said, they told me he ran, that ICE probably took him. I said, they lied. Alina published the first article. Headline, Fire in Belmont was a no accident. Underground labor camp discovered. It went viral in 48 hours. The company, Langridge Metals, denied everything. Said the building was under lease to a subcontractor. No knowledge of unauthorized activity. But I had more. Emails. A burner phone left in one of the lockers had messages synced to a cloud account. One text read, cycle ends Friday, torch the lower deck. Timestamp, the day before the fire. Another, the quiet ones don't ask questions. Pay in Hawaii. No names. Alina published part 2, Subcontracted Slavery, How Langridge hid its workers in a basement. And that's when they came for me. Someone broke into my apartment, tore through my files, took nothing, just rearranged everything. A warning, then a voicemail. Grief is one thing, but obsession gets dangerous. I didn't back down. I went to City Hall, demanded they open a formal investigation. They refused, said the building had been cleared by state fire marshals. I filed an appeal. Nothing, so I posted every document online. Created a site, www.belowbelmont.org. Survivors began to appear. 2 men, 1 woman, afraid, scarred, still in hiding. They told stories of sleeping shifts, of locked doors, of fire alarms that never rang. One said, they told us if something happens, run down, not up. Because the world only cared about surface-level disasters, not the ones in shadows. Then came the lawsuits, wrongful death, negligent homicide, trafficking. The Attorney General announced a review. Langridge stock dropped 34%. Their CEO issued a statement. We are shocked and saddened. We had no idea. But he did, because his signature was on a supply chain memo marked Level 1 allocation. I stood at the edge of the burn lot, held my father's watch, and said, you gave them your time. They tried to take your story, but I pulled it out of the ashes. The courtroom smelled like old paper and politics. 3 cameras in the back, 12 jurors, 1 microphone. They called it the People versus Langridge Metals, but it might as well have been the People versus Erasure. I took the stand, held up the punch card, said, my father wasn't a number, he was a man, and you used him until he disappeared. The CEO pled the 5th. The subcontractor tried to disappear, fled the country. But paper leaves trails. So do dead phones, fake invoices, burner emails. Everything came out. A list of 86 workers across 3 years. All undocumented, none on payroll, kept in rotating labor shifts. Some vanished, some deported, some died. The jury convicted the company on 5 counts: involuntary manslaughter, human trafficking, labor law violations, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence. The CEO got 22 years. But that wasn't the victory. The real win was this. The city passed the Ward Act, named after my father, Joseph Ward. It made underground work sites illegal, created an anonymous worker protection board, forced full disclosure of subcontracted labor, and mandated third-party audits of all post-industrial redevelopment. The factory lot was seized by the state. They offered to pave it over, build a parking structure. I said no. We turned it into a memorial. Gravel paths, steel beams saved from the wreckage, benches carved with the names of the lost, and a plaque that says, they built in silence, they burned in secret, but now they are named. I went back to school, finished my degree. Now I design housing for displaced workers, not for profit, for dignity. Sometimes I hear his voice in the shop light hum. Sometimes I still expect his boots at the front door. But mostly I hear the silence he left behind, now filled with other people's voices, people who know the truth. Because we made it loud. They said my dad died in a factory fire. They called it an accident. But I found the basement full of bodies. And now the world knows they were there. Thank you for watching. If you want to get more of that kind of stories, press like and check out our channel.